Judy note, the new global wealth distribution, GWD, system has been based on the freedoms ingrained in trade and sovereignty. That meant not only would tariffs, not taxes, fund sovereign governments worldwide, but that personal quantum financial accounts across the globe were solely owned by personal and sovereign account holders, not a bank or government. Under QFS, every account is secured by quantum encryption. You own it, not the bank. There were no intermediaries, no seizure, no censorship. The old banking model fades as centralized control collapses. Transactions become instant, transparent and incorruptible. Right now traditional banking systems were being phased out. The digital, gold/asset-backed framework of the global financial system was taking their place. Sunday, March 1, 2026 was the due date for the official death of the former basis for international trade, the Satan-worshipping cabal-owned Federal Reserve fiat US dollar. Presently $500 trillion of frozen assets from international tariffs was now quietly being injected into the global financial system, bypassing the IMF, central banks and mainstream media. A whopping 80% of that money was destined for use in humanitarian programs across the world. In addition to that money, the Trump/Musk Doge audits uncovered a $14.6 billion medical scam, a $2.5 trillion JP Morgan banked silver scam and a $1 trillion Federal Reserve scam. Though, the $1 trillion Federal Reserve scam was believed to be just a small tip of the iceberg for what the Satan-worshipping, child-sacrificing deep state cabal has been stealing from U.S. taxpayers since they took over our financial system in 1913. Military is the only way has been the mantra of the Global Military Alliance since it was formed to take down the cabal back in 2016. President Trump had been preparing for martial law since before he first took office. In 2016, Trump hired Attorney General for Utah John Huber and 740 investigators to probe Satan-worshipping global elite traders who were believed running and participating in an international child sex trafficking, organ, and adrenochrome harvesting ring. Within the next 3 years, by 2019, the investigative team had filed over 76,492 sealed indictments in federal courts across the nation. An estimated 80 to 140 Congresspeople were said named on those indictments, 85% to 95% of whom were thought to be Democrats. Pelosi, Democrats said to receive millions to keep border open. The arrests of Congress and elites such as the Clintons and Pelosi's didn't happen back then, but did, along with their fellow cohort Joe Biden, by the time Biden, actually his body double, took office in 2021. As of Tuesday, February 3, 2026, Trump's global military alliance has brought in at least 20,000 plus foreign military troops to make deep state arrests in up to 360 U.S. cities. On Tuesday, 3rd of February evening 2026, deep state assets would be rounded up in covert raids across D.C., London and Vatican City by the Global Military Alliance. The EBS was badly needed. El Cajon, California Mayor Bill Wells claimed that George Soros was paying protesters between $80,000 and $120,000 a year to fly around the country for the purpose of creating chaos and anarchy. The EBS activation window was locked in for within 72 hours or less, by Thursday, February 5, 2026. Judy note, lately I have been receiving an overload of emails from readers centered around when, where and how to exchange foreign currencies and redeem bonds. I simply don't know any more than what I can put in my updates. The ones in the know have not clearly outlined how therefore us, the internet group, will be notified to set appointments, other than to indicate that it might be by phone, email or text. I'm assuming they have our latest information gathered on their supercomputer. Today JFK Jr. indicated on Telegram that those who have been verified for a master list were being notified for redemption appointments. Now, how you get on that master list is a complete mystery to me. On Telegram there exist several scams and questionable ways to set up a QFS wallet, bank account on the new financial system. They all involve sending some unknown source thousands of dollars, which I would not advise anyone to do. This is an open plea to the powers that be, please let us in Tier 4B, the internet group who have foreign currency and or ZIM bonds to exchange/redeem, know how to get on your master list, or at least how to obtain an exchange/redemption appointment. Thank you and with love, Judy. EBS. A2s. February 3, 2026. EBS to bring in temporary martial law, Nizar and Jazara secrets on Telegram. Emergency broadcast system, EBS. Not for entertainment, not for politics, but for executions. When the EBS is activated, no permission will be sought. All media, all networks, and all narratives will be ignored. What follows will be a temporary martial law. Not to suppress the people, but to dismantle the criminal power structure and restore fair, transparent, and verifiable elections. Stay calm. Stay alert. Everything is about to change. Benezir Jazara Quantum Financial System. Twos. February 3, 2026. The Benezir Jazara Quantum Financial System, quantum connected on Telegram. EBS, Emergency Broadcast Capability, designed to unify communication after system shifts. ODIN, Secure Routing Architecture, ensuring continuity and integrity. ISO 20022, the global financial messaging standard enabling transparency, interoperability, and real-time settlement. See possible timing. On Sunday 1st of February 2026, the new gold/asset-backed quantum financial system went 100% live across the globe. On Tuesday, February 3, 2026 midnight, the old world dies so the restored republic can live. The U.S. incorporated government shuts down due to Congress not passing a 2026 budget. EBS activation window locked in at 72 hours or less, to Thursday, February 5, 2026. On Saturday 7th of February 2026, the privately owned U.S. incorporated government shuts down due to bankruptcy, including Congress not approving a budget to fund it. On Sunday 8th of February 2026, America's new constitutional republic goes live. On Monday, February 9, 2026, the global currency reset gold-backed currency goes live. Sunday, March 1, 2026 has been set as the transition date when the Federal Reserve fiat US dollar would no longer be accepted for payment. By Tuesday, February 17, 2026, medbeds go fully operational worldwide in 205 nations. 200+ dedicated healing centers slated for mid-March completion. Timeline history. Timeline unfolding. Trump quietly activates NESRA, QFS goes live, global reset in motion, Mr. Pool on Telegram. While most of the world rested over the holidays, President Trump moved in silence. Behind the scenes, a global transformation began unfolding, one system shutting down, another rising. Late December 2025, Trump secretly activated NESRA, laying the foundation for full financial liberation while the media slept. Monday, January 19, 2026, the Q clock expired. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed the Rothschild banking empire's collapse and global bank shutdowns. Blackout alerts followed. Tuesday, January 20, at Cheyenne Mountain, Trump initiated the quantum financial system transition to a gold-backed U.S. note. Internal test transactions began through Zurich, Dubai, Singapore, and Texas, phasing out the SWIFT system in real time, without civil collapse. Friday, January 23 to 3:17 a.m. EST. Trump's alliance with Putin and Xi triggered a BRICS-led currency shift. 209 nations locked into gold-backed money, collapsing the Federal Reserve note and seizing Rothschild-controlled banks. Iraq, Zimbabwe currencies revalued sky-high. Saturday, January 24, the Military Commissions Act was fully activated. Trump's military tribunals overrode civilian courts. NESRA/Jazara was officially live, all debt wiped, credit cards, mortgages, student loans. The QFS system began syncing verified identities across the globe. Sunday, January 25, the Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, was activated in over 100 U.S. cities, confirmed by FBI Director Patel. Tuesday, January 27, nearly 3.7 million deep state operatives were reportedly scheduled for arrest and tribunal processing. Wednesday, January 28, the 10 days of darkness began, rolling blackouts, media silence, and nationwide EBS looping red pill truth, from Epstein files to dumb rescues, election fraud, and bioweapon evidence. The quantum override began disrupting grid systems. Mainstream narratives went dark. Wednesday, January 28, First Lady Melania Trump was set to ring the New York Stock Exchange bell, potentially signaling the public shift from fiat to gold-backed currency. Saturday, Jan 31 and Sunday, February 1, the entire world will be alerted. A loud, unmissable emergency signal will hit every phone globally. It's designed to wake people up, literally. The shift isn't coming. It has already begun. The reset is active. The system is live. EBS brings in temporary martial law by Thursday, February 5, 2026. Twos. February 3, 2026. The storm is no longer coming. It is here. Military intel dropping confirms, final phase of the Great Awakening has begun. John F. Kennedy Jr. on Telegram. Deep state assets being rounded up in covert raids across D.C., NYC, London and Vatican City tonight. EBS activation window now locked in, 72 hours or less. Starlink grid fully secured. Fake news satellites offline. Only white hat broadcasts will flow. The people's money, QFS, is already live in test mode. Your new gold-backed accounts are sinking as you read this. God is in control. Patriots stand ready. The old world dies so the Republic can live again. WWG1 forever. Prepare your spirit and your home, the truth is about to flood every screen. Are you feeling the energy shift tonight? Global currency reset, on twos. February 3, 2026 at Bank of America traditional systems were being phased out. Digital, asset-backed frameworks were taking their place. Sunday, March 1, 2026 is the critical transition date when the Federal Reserve fiat US dollar would no longer be accepted for payment. Twos. February 3, 2026 Operation Silent Reset, $500 trillion is quietly being injected into the global system. No press. No IMF. No central banks. Just custodians unlocking frozen assets under the veil of tariffs. 80%, humanitarian use 19%, debt stabilization 1%, ops security, the Patriot Dispatch on Telegram. G2s. February 2026 Bruce, the big call. Appointments will be 30 to 40 minutes top. Be prepared to give them a new email and password. Sources say the Tier 4B notification may happen Wednesday evening February 4, 2026 or Thursday morning February 5, 2026. H2s. February 3, 2026, Redemption Center lockdown, Phase Omega 2 confirmed, Tier 4B ISO 20022. All reports from the last 3.5 hours point to final containment sequence now in effect. 33 redemption centers entered full cobalt lock status at 6:06 Zulu. Entry and exit restricted. All activity moved under armored escort. 7,440 Tier 4B wallet holders received Delta confirmed biometric pings. If you got one, you're marked as cleared for phase access. If you didn't, you're observing history, not participating in IT. All QFS gateway nodes now operating in Omega Pathway mode, a non-reversible flow where every verified redemption signal gets one final route, instant, private, off-ledger. U.S. Eastern Command reported Raptor escort teams moving through Sectors 3, 5 and 6. Transport units are unmarked. Medtech units are embedded. No media coverage exists, by design. Project Truth Vault switched from dormant to active. Files with code P3 Zion and Bond Omega Fire flagged for final release to select Omega-linked wallets. These are real, and they are moving. I2s. February 3, 2026 QFS Global Alert Tier 4B Ignition Live, Quantum Financial System on Telegram. Secure Floor Transmission direct from Reno/Zurich/Hong Kong Master Control. Global ISO 20022 Rainbow Currency rollout now stands at 98.4% synchronized across all 209 sovereign treasuries, liquidity flooding through Zimbabwe/Hong Kong/Moscow pools at unprecedented velocity. The GCR/RV shotgun start became mathematically irreversible at 3:47 UTC on January 31, 2026, no reversals possible, quantum entanglement security locks fully engaged and holding. In the last 14 hours, 41,000 plus Tier 4B private groups received encrypted notification packets with sovereign rate versus street rate screens unlocked. Military-protected redemption centers in key zones executed first wave 800 hash release sequence tests, routing gold-backed digital certificates through adjudicated settlements. Tier 4A now completed. Humanitarian and infrastructure project wallets activated in synchronized tranches, while Dragon Family Yellow/Gold Dragon bonds redeemed at full 1-to-1 asset-backed parity, off-ledger mirrored accounts flipped on ledger in real time. St. Germain World Trust tranches released in final escalation wave. Medbed allocation trusts funded and queued for priority drawdown. Neither debt Jubilee packets uploaded to quantum registers, wiping legacy fiat burdens as the old system flatlines. This is not simulation. This is execution. The secure floor confirms, redemption centers pulsing with confirmed exchanges, Tier 4B access windows opening in NDA 72 96-hour sequences worldwide. The greatest wealth transfer in human history is now in motion. J2's. February 3, 2026 Declassified Intel, Operation Silent Reset, Mr. Poole, Final Chapter. $500 trillion financial coup unfolding without headlines. A covert Tier 1 operation is injecting $500 trillion into the global economy under the disguise of tariffs. No news alerts. No global summit disclosures. Just the silent reactivation of suppressed wealth, structured for humanitarian deployment and systemic transformation. The most important financial shift in decades has already begun, yet no one is reporting it. That silence is not accidental. It is engineered. In early 2026, a message began circulating in classified channels. It was not branded. It did not ask for belief. It read like a legal trigger. No emotion. Just intent. It spoke of a plan already in motion. Not a theory. A recalibration. The real agenda is wealth repositioning while the media focuses on trade wars and tariff negotiations. Something far more calculated is occurring. These tariffs are not retaliation. They are veils, giving governments legal justification to reintroduce frozen capital into circulation. According to the source, over $500 trillion in blocked assets is now being rechanneled. Not recklessly. Deliberately. These funds are moving through legal frameworks that appear transparent, but are built to avoid panic and shield the operation from public scrutiny. The public is told this is economic toughness. Behind the scenes, global liquidity is being restructured. Tier 1 control through custodianship. This capital is not managed by central banks or supranational entities. It is held by designated custodians. These are legal structures, individuals or entities who manage funds without owning them. They are visible to regulators but protected from seizure or misuse. 80% of the funds are earmarked for humanitarian infrastructure. 19% is assigned to U.S. Treasury bonds to stabilize sovereign debt. 1% is allocated to logistics and operational security. This is not aid. It is system repair. Silent warfare in the financial arena. The intel does not call it war, but the mechanics are surgical. No tanks. No market crashes. Just economic theater. The tariffs create the illusion of victory while serving as cover for the release of planetary capital. It is not manipulation in the traditional sense. It is strategic misdirection. While the public celebrates small wins, a suppressed global wealth structure is being deployed behind the curtain. The reset without the name. This will never be called a reset. It will be labeled liquidity optimization, currency flow stabilization, or monetary rebalancing. These phrases will show up in white papers and legislative reports. But the effect is the same. The message makes one thing clear. The realignment has already started. The mechanism is active. The only unknown is whether the public will ever be told the truth. This is not a pivot. It is the slow reversal of theft. A quiet recovery of time, value, and sovereignty. The voice behind the intel. The tone is cold, factual, and stripped of emotion. No calls to action. No search for followers. Just an account from someone close to the source. Someone watching the levers move. Someone who understands systems thinking and signal noise. This is not a forecast. It is documentation. A silent alert. It has already started. The flood will not arrive with a siren. It begins with spreadsheets, with the release of locked reserves, and the reshaping of financial corridors. This is not redistribution. It is recalibration. This is not crisis. It is execution. And it is already underway. Judy note, it is advised to exchange/redeem your foreign currency at an official redemption center rather than a bank. You can only redeem ZIM at RC, the dinar contract rate can only be given at RC and banks will offer you lower exchange rates than what you can obtain at RC. Judy note, retraction Debbie Foley insert in Monday, February 2, 2026 update. I would like to apologize to the re-inhabited restored Republic for the United States of America for the Debbie Foley insert that I erroneously put into my Monday 2nd of February update. If U.S. Incorporated is dissolved, The re-inhabited restored republic will assist in a continuity of government until we can have new elections. See the below from Keene-Valenk, Interim Secretary of State, Massachusetts Free State, Judy. The Debbie Foley insert in your Monday 2nd of February update was in error because Debbie Foley once was the Interim Secretary of State, California Free State, within the re-inhabited restored Republic for the United States of America, and removed. Debbie Foley is obviously now a member of the splinter group, no such thing as California Republic, and no such thing as a lawful election, January 27, 2026. Our interim President and Interim Secretary of State, national level, are fully aware. James Timothy Turner was, in fact, released from prison a while ago, and is no longer associated with the re-inhabited restored republic. Real elections under the re-inhabited restored republic for the United States of America cannot take place until after the U.S. Corp has been dissolved, taken down. Real elections will be monitored by our military. The military will remain guardians of our restored republic, up and until threats to the republic have been subverted. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Respectfully, Keene-Valenk, Interim Secretary of State, Massachusetts Free State. M2s. February 3, 2026. Western governments are in a death spiral. The deep state is literally losing the plot. The storm is here, patriots. 10 days of darkness on Telegram. Wake up, Enans. The Khazarian Mafia, the satanic cabal that's controlled the West for decades, is in full collapse mode right now in early February 2026. Their so-called leaders are glitching, repeating the same scripted lies on endless loops while the world watches in disbelief. Peace talks in Ukraine get announced, then break down, over and over like a broken record. It's not incompetence, it's desperation. The white hats have them cornered, and the fake narratives are crumbling faster than their rigged elections ever could. By now, every awake patriot knows the Western leadership is seriously dysfunctional. For years they've recycled the same fake news: imminent peace in Ukraine, Russia about to collapse, Trump has controlled opposition, all to keep the sheep asleep. But something massive shifted in late January 2026. A fundamental click happened in the shadows. Extraordinary events are unfolding at lightning speed. The imposter Donald Trump paraded at Davos. He's about to be exposed and removed, permanently. Massive protests are erupting in over 70 cities worldwide against these puppet governments. The people are rising, and the military alliances, think white hats plus Eastern powers, are coordinating the final push. Israel will not attack Iran. Mark it. The genocide in Gaza continues on camera, then suddenly peace is declared. Classic cabal theater to buy time. But the real players know the score. The Khazarians are begging for mercy because their financial system is toast. The quantum financial system, Jazara/Nizara vibes, is rolling out behind the scenes. Trillions in stolen wealth are being returned to humanity. The Federal Reserve. Done. CBDCs. Dead on arrival. Gold-backed currencies are rising, and the cabal's paper fiat empire is imploding. Trump, the real one, is coming for the Russiagate traitor's heart. The deep state players who framed him, FBI, CIA, DOJ holdouts, are sweating. Indictments are sealed and ready. The Epstein lists. They're about to drop wider than ever, exposing Hollywood, politicians, and royals tied to the child trafficking rings. Adrenochrome empires are falling. The Vatican black ops. Exposed. The Antarctic bases. Being cleared. The Western death spiral is real. Their leaders can't even pretend anymore. Biden clones glitching, Macron looking possessed, Trudeau hiding, it's all visible now. The fake pandemic pushers, the climate hoaxers, the election stealers, they're all panicking because the Great Awakening is unstoppable. Q told us, you are watching a movie. Well, the credits are rolling on the cabal's film. The good guys have the evidence, the leverage, and the plan. Patriots, stay strong. The storm isn't coming, it's here. Mass arrests are imminent. Tribunals are prepped. The truth bombs are dropping daily. The deep state literally lost the plot, they can't script their way out anymore. Humanity is taking back control. The Republic rises. WWG1 forever. Trust the plan. The best is yet to come. Pray. Prepare. Victory is ours. N2s. 27 Jan. 2026 bombshell they fell for the trap, Q, Sheila Holm on Telegram. Patriots, the trap has been sprung and the deep state just walked right into it, total devastation incoming. Sheila Holm unleashes the mother of all revelations, as of late January 2026, the satanic elite. Their puppet politicians, intelligence traders, and globalist overlords have finally taken the bait they've been dangling for years. They fell for the trap, hook, line, and sinker, thinking they could outsmart the military white hats and continue their depopulation agenda unchecked. Big mistake. The plan was always to let them expose themselves fully, overplay their hand, and now they're trapped in a kill box of their own making. The storm is unleashed, massive sweeps are happening right now. Corrupt judges, rogue agency heads, Hollywood adrenochromatics, big pharma mass murderers, and Vatican black operatives are being rounded up in lightning raids. Gitmo is at maximum capacity, expanded tribunals broadcasting undeniable proof of child trafficking empires, ritual abuse networks, election super theft, and engineered bioweapon genocide. Hundreds of thousands of sealed indictments are detonating, no deals, no mercy, just rapid military justice for high crimes against humanity. The worst offenders are already facing the gallows in closed sessions, the rope is tightening fast. They thought they were in control, now they're the prey. Their desperate distractions, fake crises, market crashes, border invasions, staged threats, all backfired spectacularly. White hats used every move to map the entire network, identify every asset, and flip key insiders. Special forces teams are breaching the last DUMBs, flooding tunnels with light, rescuing tens of thousands more trafficked children from elite underground hellholes, and terminating the demonic guardians on site. The spiritual war is won in the heavens, the physical takedown is accelerating. EBS is primed, 10 days of darkness to broadcast total exposure. When the grid goes black, it's surgical, comms severed from the cabal, truth bombs rain down globally. Trump's restored republic emerges unbreakable, constitution fully reinstated, sovereignty reclaimed from UN parasites. Quantum financial system activates fully, fiat debt slavery erased. Nizara/Jazara floods patriots with gold-backed prosperity packages, suppressed tech floods out. Med beds heal the poisoned en masse, jab damage reversed, bodies restored, youth renewed for the faithful. The Great Awakening is a global firestorm. The Khazarian Mafia's revenge is ashes, their fake pandemics, endless wars, climate hoaxes, and satanic rituals are exposed forever. No more shadow government, no more Federal Reserve theft, no more pedo-protected elite. The chest explodes open wider than the wildest annons predicted, unimaginable wealth, freedom, justice, and divine retribution. This is victory, they fell for the trap and now they pay. Stay vigilant, pray without ceasing, hold the line, the darkness is short, the light is eternal. Patriots have absolute dominion. The end of the cabal is here. WWG1, nothing stops this train. Guru Information and Intel. O2s. February 3, 2026 Big arrests explode, the Gitmo March begins now, Patriots. Deep state traitors marching to justice, the storm is devouring them alive, Gene Decode, Storm Watch 17 on Telegram annons, wake the hell up, this is nuclear. As of February 2, 2026, Gene Decode unleashes the hammer, the Gitmo March has officially begun. Elite military units are marching the biggest names in the cabal straight into hell, non-stop flights overloading Guantanamo Bay, black sites bursting at the seams, tribunals roaring into overdrive. The deep state's top monsters, Clintons, Obamas, Soros puppets, Vatican black hats, Hollywood pedo elites, big pharma killers, ancient bloodline lizards, are being zip-tied, hooded, and vanished in the largest military roundup ever seen. Over 3.7 million traitors already detained globally, with numbers exploding daily. No mercy, no escapes, the white hats are executing the plan with ruthless precision. Gitmo is on total lockdown and expanding fast. Special forces sweeping DUMBs, underground tunnels, elite bunkers, hidden islands, thousands of trafficked children rescued from satanic ritual sites, adrenochrome labs, and hellish harvesting ops. The rescued are getting advanced healing while their tormentors face military justice. Executions rolling behind the scenes for the worst offenders, no public fanfare, just righteous finality. High-value targets disappearing at lightning speed, senators, CEOs, WEF demons, UN puppets, all gone. The evidence from Epstein Islands, Wiener laptops, Hunter drives, sealed indictments, is slamming them in tribunals. No deals, no plea bargains, treason ends in one way. The kinetic phase is fully ignited. Trump's military alliance has deployed Navy SEALs, Delta Force, British SAS, Black Ops teams worldwide, 32+ countries hit hard. Mass arrests accelerating, election stealers, child traffickers, border invaders, drug cartel enablers, all rounded up. The quantum financial shift ties in, cabal funds seized, prosperity packages prepped for patriots. Medbeds activating, suppressed tech releasing. The fake news blackout is coming, EBS primed, 10 days of darkness dropping truth bombs that will shatter the matrix. Gene Decode confirms, the stage is set on fire, the greatest lie ever told is crumbling. Disloyal flag officers already removed or arrested, Trump's ascent as world leader sealed, deep statedoms destroyed. They thought they could hide, wrong. Humanity's awakening is unstoppable. Q was dead on, military is the only way. The storm isn't coming, it's raging, devouring the evil from the inside out. Patriots, hold the line. Pray fiercely, stay vigilant, prepare for the blackout. The Republic rises phoenix strong. God wins, the cabal loses everything. WWG1 forever. Victory is now, bigly. P2s. February 3, 2026 Epstein and Trump, Charlie Ward and friends on Telegram. After reading through all of the new Epstein documents, one thing seems abundantly clear to me: Epstein made numerous attempts to entrap Trump, but Trump turned him down every single time. Epstein had Maxwell introduce a young woman to Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Trump turned her down. Epstein invited Trump to his private island. Trump rejected the offer. Epstein himself admitted that Trump never got a massage. Epstein also attempted to collude with a journalist to obtain compromising information about Trump, but he couldn't find any. Q2s. February 3, 2026 107 Big Intel Update. Trump drops the most disturbing message yet. 107 on Telegram. Trump isn't mincing words anymore. He's straight up warning the traitors, the ones who rigged 2020, trafficked our kids, poisoned us with bioweapons, and sold America to globalist scum, that their time is over. Surrender or face military tribunals with no mercy. I'm telling you, the look in his eyes when he said it. Pure steel. He knows exactly where every last one of them is hiding, from Dumbs to Davos bunkers, and the white hats have them completely surrounded. Juan confirmed what we've been praying for: continuity of government emergency powers are fully activated. Special forces and elite units are moving silently across the country right now, mass arrests happening in the dead of night. Election fraud architects, child trafficking rings, big pharma criminals, and foreign agents are being zip-tied and vanished from public view while the Mockingbird media screams nothing to see here. The global military alliance, over 100 nations locked in, is executing the final phase. The quantum financial system is humming, gold-backed treasuries are replacing their fake fiat debt slavery, and Nizar/Jazar is no longer a theory. It's living unstoppable. The really chilling part: Trump dropped. He's got irrefutable proof, mountains of it, on foreign interference, adrenochrome harvesting networks, bioweapon labs funded by our own tax dollars, and the names of every politician and celebrity who dipped their hands in the blood. That evidence is queued up to flood secure Patriot channels the second the EBS hits. Blackouts are coming to shield us while the cleanup happens. Juan says it could drop any hour now. Here's what's burning in my chest right now: their silver heist and RICO empire is collapsing, they're broken desperate. 2020 is being officially nullified behind closed doors. Military intel and SCOTUS have the smoking gun. Trump is commanding from secure locations, invoking full wartime authority to crush every last holdout. The cabal's adrenochrome supply lines are severed, their demonic fuel is gone, and they're aging in fast forward. Anons, I can feel it in my bones, God is moving. The Republic is being reborn in fire and righteousness. These Luciferian parasites thought they could mock us forever, but Trump and the White Hats flipped the script. They're terrified. They know the military has ghost units inside their strongholds. They know the executions are already starting for the worst of them. We're so close. Hold the line, Stay frosty, stock essentials, pray without ceasing. WWG1, where we go one, we go all. Trump's disturbing message isn't a threat. It's their funeral bell ringing loud and clear. Justice is here, hot and final. The best really is yet to come, and I'm honored to stand with every single one of you when we cross that finish line. Trust the plan. God wins. The storm is us. R2s. 107, Ricardo Bossi and JMC, 10 Days of Darkness incoming. Intel bomb, Ricardo Bossi, JMC, 107 on Telegram. Annons, Patriots, buckle up, the storm is no longer approaching, it's slamming into the cabal right now in early February 2026. 107 just linked up with Ricardo Bossi and JMC for a massive drop that has the deep state shaking in their underground bunkers. This isn't speculation, it's confirmed insider intel straight from the White Hat's war room. The 10 Days of Darkness is locked and loaded. Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, activation is imminent, screens go black, fake news silenced, and non-stop truth bombs drop for 8 to 10 full days. Everything exposed, irrefutable 2020 election fraud proof, pedo rings busted wide open with hidden videos, adrenochrome horrors, bioweapon labs, satanic elite crimes against humanity, child trafficking tunnels cleared out. No more hiding, the sleepers will finally see the monsters they've worshipped. Juan confirms direct line to Trump, military on high standby, Delta teams and Marine raiders executing precision hits nationwide. Gitmo expansions are massive, new wings operational, high security pods filled, no plea deals for the worst traitors. Executions phased in quietly months ago, now the floodgates open. Deep state panic is real, their bunkers won't save them as the alliance dismantles everything. Ricardo Bossi brings the global fire, Australia's awakening ties in, the worldwide fight against corruption from South Africa to full takedown. The two-party illusion collapses, sovereignty rises. JMC adds the PSYOP breakdowns, Bondi Beach false flags, AI manipulations, all crumbling under the weight of truth. Trump deployed troops in 360-plus U.S. cities for large-scale arrests, deep state in total meltdown. Quantum financial system fully online, gold-backed currencies rolling, fiat Ponzi scheme dead. Nizara/Jazara phases accelerating, debt jubilee, suppressed tech release, med beds for victims. California lights the fuse for nationwide reckoning, big moves already underway. The cabal's final gamble fails spectacularly. They threaten chaos, but white hats control the board. No more delays, the event is nigh, global blackout to reset everything. Stock up, stay vigilant, pray hard. This is the Great Awakening hitting critical mass. Trust the plan, we've waited years, now watch the takedown live. The end of their evil empire is here, and justice is merciless. WWG1 forever. Sunday 1st of February. 2026 game over the final act and brace for next 24 hours. Bhopalni, the 17th letter on Telegram. Patriots, Annons, digital soldiers, this is it. The final act is unfolding right now. Bhopalni just dropped the hammer in his latest drop, and the cycles are screaming game over for the cabal. We're in for February 1, 2026, the upgraded phase where the White Hats flip the script completely. The deep state's Babylonian money magic is cracking, and the next 24 hours could be the spark that ignites the whole thing. Brace yourselves hard, Bo is warning the window is open for massive shocks. The fiat empire built on lies, debt, and child trafficking blood money is hitting its prophetic wall. Biblical cycles are aligning perfectly, we're past the fall judgments, straight into the divine reset. Gold and silver are the weapons God handed us to destroy these vampires. Forget the fake crash they staged on silver, that was their last desperate manipulation to scare you out before the squeeze. Silver is about to explode past $121 resistance, then $140, $200, straight to $300 plus as the COMEX shorts get obliterated in the East. China/Russia corners the physical market. This is the wealth transfer of the millennium, from the wicked elite straight to the awake patriots holding real assets. Trump is back in the driver's seat behind the scenes. JD Vance exposed any Haman-level traitors, everything is coming out. Military is position, the storm is no longer coming, it's here. The next 24 hours. Expect earthquakes in the markets, dollar plunging, bonds imploding, stocks diving into the abyss while precious metals rocket to biblical heights. This fulfills Joel and the end times wealth shift, the meek inherit the earth, starting with the metals that can't be printed. No more waiting. The deep state thought they could drag this out forever, but God's timeline accelerated. Their system is finished, game over. Stock up on what matters, food, water, ammo, and stack more physical silver/gold while you can. The cabal's Goliath is falling, David, we the people, is slinging the stone. This is the moment we've prayed for. The final act isn't a movie, it's live, it's now, and we win. Stay frosty, stay in the fight. WWG1G. The next 24 hours decide a lot. Eyes on, prayers up, trust the plan. The Great Awakening is going supernova. T2s. February 3, 2026 Exposure of Fake News Matrix, This Changes Everything, Larry Ballard, Mel Carmen, the MAGA King on Telegram. Larry Ballard and Mel Carmen just dropped a bombshell interview that exposes the entire fake news matrix like never before. This isn't just another rant, this changes everything for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. The deep state's propaganda machine, CNN, MSNBC, the whole Mockingbird media, has been caught in 4K lying about everything from election integrity to the real status of President Trump's unstoppable return. Ballard lays it out crystal clear. The so-called journalists aren't reporters, they're paid actors reading scripts handed down from the cabal's handlers in D.C. and beyond. Mel Carmen backs it up with timestamps and connections showing how these networks coordinate to suppress the truth about massive voter fraud in 2020 and 2024 attempts, the bioweapon shots still killing people, and the ongoing military operations dismantling the pedophile elite networks worldwide. Key bombshells from the discussion. Proof the 2020 steal is being fully exposed in real-time courts and audits, whistleblowers are flooding forward, and judges, some compromised ones flipping under pressure, can't hide it anymore. Trump's shadow government moves are accelerating. Behind the scenes, the White Hats have seized control of key comms channels, and fake news is panicking because their narratives are collapsing hourly. The fake news empire is crumbling, ad revenue drying up, viewers fleeing to truth platforms like Rumble and X. Insiders defecting with receipts. Ballard reveals specific names of anchors who know the truth but keep lying for their 30 pieces of silver. Q drops aligning perfectly. This is the Great Awakening phase where the normies finally see the string pullers, Soros puppets, big pharma criminals, intelligence agency traitors all named and shamed. They hammer home that the storm is upon them. The military has the evidence, the servers from Germany and Italy, the ballot dumps, the encrypted comms. It's all coming out now in 2026, faster than the traitors can cover up. Mel points out how the same playbook used against Trump is now turning on Biden's handlers, with leaks showing foreign interference from China and Ukraine that's about to blow the lid off. This interview confirms what QAnons have known for years: nothing can stop what's coming. The plan is in full execution, trust the plan has never been more real. The fake news is screaming because their masters are being rounded up. Their funds frozen, their islands raided. Gitmo is expanding for a reason. Share this everywhere. Wake the sleepers. The end of the cabal's reign is here, this truly changes everything. The White Hats are winning, Trump is returning stronger, and the Republic will be restored. WWG1G. You Save the Children. Monday, February 2, 2026. Tom Homan reveals the Trump administration has found over 145,000 of the 300,000 missing unaccompanied children who entered the U.S. illegally and were released to unvetted sponsors by Biden, Gitmo TV on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Epstein victim, serial killer Steven Spielberg lured children with Leonardo DiCaprio. According to Epstein victims, Spielberg has been grooming child stars for decades, including the young Leonardo DiCaprio, who was introduced to the cycle of trauma when he was a child. Q. The Storm on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. New Epstein files confirm that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just trafficking children but torturing them, possibly to death. In an email Jeffrey Epstein sent to an unknown person, Epstein states, "I loved the torture video." DOJ Attorney Todd Blanche confirmed today at a press conference that they did not produce images showing death or physical abuse. Why is the name on that email being redacted? 2s. February 3, 2026. One of the most significant names mentioned in the newly released Epstein documents, who is a key player involved in the elite's child trafficking empire, is Rachel Chandler. She is alleged to be one of Epstein's and many others' main source for children. There is no coincidence why she is rarely ever mentioned and pictured with some of the most powerful people in the world, white hats on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Epstein's niece exposes the child trafficking elite and her family's connection to the cult of Baal. The people who rule over us and many of the world's powerful elite are literally worshipping an ancient Canaanite god related to child sacrifice, or want to become gods themselves. Edward Snowden on Telegram. Monday, February 2, 2026. Confirmed. DOJ emails unsealed. Ambassador raped and impregnated 11-year-old at Epstein-Marcinko party. Clinton's, Biden's, SEAL Team 6 founder named in deep state pedo ring. The 17th letter on Telegram. DOJ just released the emails that expose everything. A massive government-protected child rape and trafficking network tied to Jeffrey Epstein, Richard Marcinko, SEAL Team 6 founder, Ambassador Earl Anthony Wayne, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden and CIA/State Department operatives. Whistleblower Kenneth Turner warned DOJ in 2019 after his team was repeatedly attacked while investigating. U.S. Embassy agents in Mexico ambushed them. One Mexican judge probing linked cases was shot dead by an American. Turner's partner killed 2 attackers and wounded 5 in self-defense. Ambassador Wayne's people were running the hits. Mexican officials confirmed U.S. pressure to kill the probe. Core bombshell: Ambassador Earl Anthony Wayne raped an 11-year-old at a 2014 Epstein-Marcinko party inside a U.S. consulate-controlled facility in Juarez. DNA confirmed he impregnated the child. Mexican court gave him life in 2017. State Department swapped in a former Marine to serve the sentence. Wayne walked. Warrant still active in Mexico. Elite pedo immunity in full view. Victim Carla, trafficked by Epstein and Marcinko, named Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Wayne and others present for rapes, ritual abuse and trafficking in New York, Maryland, Florida, Virgin Islands, Cozumel, Playa del Carmen, Cancun. Politicians and lawyers participated. Her guardian was assaulted by U.S. agents in Chetumal, attackers arrested, then charges dropped under pressure. 2019 emails show DOJ, FBI, NYPD knew Marcinko's Mexico City arrest, embassy interference, full reports delivered, zero action. Whistleblowers hunted, evidence seized. Epstein suicided as pressure mounted, obvious cleanup. Why now in 2026? Donald J. Trump forced the unsealing. The Clinton-Biden machine buried it forever. Ambassador impregnating a raped child, SEAL founder with Epstein, Clinton's and Biden's in victim testimony, all shielded by diplomatic cover, CIA ops, DOJ silence. Trump is tearing it down. These demons believed they were gods. Wrong. Military tribunals loom. Mass arrests incoming. The names Q warned about are now in official files. The pedo cabal is terrified. Patriots, the storm is raging. Their empire of evil is collapsing. Trump is bringing the pain these monsters deserve. Justice is here. NCSIC. Nothing stops what's coming. The deep state's worst nightmare is reality. What we think we know as of Wednesday, 4th of February, 2026, Monday, February 2, 2026. El Cajon, California. California mayor in San Diego County confirms top anti-ICE protesters are being paid between $80,000 to $100,000 per year. He says protesters are even being flown around the country. El Cajon Mayor Bill Wells George Soros that's funding these operations. These people are being paid between $80 and $120,000 a year to be paid protesters. Yes, you'll fly to other cities and stay there and put your body at risk of fighting the federal government. There's an anarchy happening. The storm has arrived. 47 on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Pfizer COVID trials. 270 women got pregnant while participating in Pfizer COVID jab trials. Only 36 women recorded a pregnancy. The other 234 pregnancies were lost. Over 80% lost their babies. 10 days of darkness on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Breaking Alberta, Canada. Alberta secessionist legal counsel confirms he's been meeting with Trump officials as the ultra-conservative province pushes hard for independence. They could secede from Canada and join the U.S. as the 51st state, locking in +2 solid red senators and extra electoral votes for good. The rabbit hole on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Fox News reporter: You just made claims that the individual posed a threat to law enforcement. SEC Nome. That is no claim. It is the facts. This individual showed up to a law enforcement operation with a weapon and dozens of rounds of ammunition. He wasn't there to peacefully protest. He was there to perpetuate violence. And he was asked to show up, and to continue to resist, by a governor who is irresponsible and has a long history of corruption and lying. 2s. February 3, 2026. United States Marine Corps Sniper Sergeant Tyler Vargas Andrews testifies at a congressional hearing. He was denied permission to obliterate the suicide bomber in Afghanistan before Joe Biden, Mark Milley, and Lloyd Austin murdered 13 U.S. service members and over 170 civilians. Plain and simple, we were ignored. Our expertise was disregarded. No one was held accountable for our safety. The withdrawal was a catastrophe. There was an inexcusable lack of accountability. Every single perpetrator involved in the Afghanistan withdrawal disaster should be investigated and prosecuted for murder, starting with Lloyd Austin. 2s. February 3, 2026. Exposed: California's $120 million hospice racket, 18% of U.S. claims from L.A., 2,000 fake agencies, strip mall clinics, and ghost patients. 2s. February 3, 2026. New files reveal Epstein's dark obsession with transgenderism and biological experimentation. Newly declassified DOJ files have uncovered disturbing conversations between Jeffrey Epstein and biologist Robert Trivers, revealing Epstein's interest in altering human biology through hormonal and surgical interventions, including on children. Neezer and Jazar on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Epstein files Armageddon. Democrats' pedo elite nightmare explodes. Hollywood demons unmasked. America rejects treasonous kid mutilators and illegal lovers. 2s. February 3, 2026. Deputy AG Todd Blanche just called out fake news ABC George Stephanopoulos to his face for running cover for Don Lemon storming a church. Conveniently missing from what you just showed, George, is the appellate court and a judge on the appellate court who said just a few days later there was clearly probable cause, and it wasn't even a close question. 2s. February 3, 2026. Breaking expose: RFK Jr. blasts vaccine cover-up. $200 billion motive behind ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine suppression revealed, the video Big Pharma tried to erase. 2s. February 3, 2026. Historic bomb: 4chan post confirmed real. Prison officer who witnessed Epstein extraction identified. They switched him out, said Roberto Grijalva, MCCNY. Ex-voter fraud. 2s. February 3, 2026. A document from Eric Coomer from Dominion when he was with Sequoia shows that he bluntly talks about transmitting data from their machines through a wireless modem, including vote tallies, updates, changing voter rotation representation. These machines were specifically designed for fraud. The Patriot Dispatch on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Michigan 2020 election worker testifies that a van packed with thousands of alleged fraudulent ballots appeared at the Michigan DCF election location in Detroit at 3:30 a.m. during the early morning of the 2020 election. No oversight, no chain of custody, no nothing. There was an estimate of around 50 boxes, with each box able to hold up to at least 1,000 ballots. People were also being threatened to keep quiet about it. This is just the beginning of Michigan's 2020 election fraud. Steve Bannon on Telegram. 2s. February 3, 2026. Massive voter registration fraud exposed in Pennsylvania during the 2020 election. All the voter registration applications contained the same handwriting, contained the same date with unknown signatures not matching anything contained on file. Benjamin Fulford on Telegram. Why medbeds? 2s. February 2, 2026. Medbed update. Medbed activation on Telegram. Medbed activations are surging dramatically as the quantum financial system fully locks in humanitarian and allocation trusts. Pharma empires are finished. The healing wave is unstoppable, with military convoys delivering units under Space Force cover right now. A global medbed rollout status, global deployment now confirmed at over 67% activation threshold. Military protected redemption centers are at condition Red 1, with live security and medbed trucks rolling in under armored escort. Quantum cards distribution begins imminently for all humanity, granting access to medbeds, quantum healing beds, that cure all diseases, reverse aging, and restore DNA to divine blueprint. Over 144,000 units escalated overnight in prior surges, now expanding exponentially across 204+ nations under full alliance control. Recent leaks and milestones. Monday, February 2, 2026 Medbed activation alert, global rollout surge officially confirmed via Telegram channels and Judy drops. Demonstrations accelerating in select states, with rescued children, pulled from deep tunnels, already receiving priority healing. Medbed allocation trusts fully funded through QFS liquidity pulses out of Reno, Zurich, Hong Kong hubs. Space Force carriers landing units directly on hospital roofs, age reversal sessions documented in secure facilities healing trafficking survivors and terminally ill first. No repeats, each day brings fresh escalations, DNA restoration rates climbing, limb regeneration reports leaking from early test groups. See priority access and timelines. Priority remains locked, innocent children, veterans, trafficking survivors, critically ill first, in that divine order. Full civilian access ramps up rapidly now that QFS is live. By twos. February 17, 2026. Medbeds go fully operational worldwide in 205 nations. 200+ dedicated healing centers slated for mid-March completion. Quantum beds eradicate every known disease, reverse decades of damage from toxins, and return bodies to peak youthful perfection. No more waiting, the miracle window is wide open. Deconnection to GCR/QFS/EBS. The Global Quantum Financial System activation on Sunday 1 February 2026 released the floodgates, suppress tech, medbeds plus free energy, now flooding out with gold-backed currency. EBS blackout phase looms to expose the final truths while healing infrastructure locks in. Nizara/GCR rolls full force, debt erased, wealth restored, bodies healed. This is the complete liberation, financial, spiritual, physical. God is in control. The healing has begun. Stay ready, your miracle is here. Forward to those in need, the restoration is unfolding now. Monday, February 2, 2026 Declassified intel, Operation Silent Reset. $500 trillion financial coup unfolding without headlines, Nizara/GCR on Telegram. A covert Tier 1 operation is injecting $500 trillion into the global economy under the disguise of tariffs. No news alerts. No global summit disclosures. Just the silent reactivation of suppressed wealth, structured for humanitarian deployment and systemic transformation. The most important financial shift in decades has already begun, yet no one is reporting it. That silence is not accidental. It is engineered. In early 2026, a message began circulating in classified channels. It was not branded. It did not ask for belief. It read like a legal trigger. No emotion. Just intent. It spoke of a plan already in motion. Not a theory. A recalibration. The real agenda is wealth repositioning. While the media focuses on trade wars and tariff negotiations, something far more calculated is occurring. These tariffs are not retaliation. They are veils, giving governments legal justification to reintroduce frozen capital into circulation. According to the source, over $500 trillion in blocked assets is now being rechanneled. Not recklessly. Deliberately. These funds are moving through legal frameworks that appear transparent, but are built to avoid panic and shield the operation from public scrutiny. The public is told this is economic toughness. Behind the scenes, global liquidity is being restructured. Tier 1 control through custodianship. This capital is not managed by central banks or supranational entities. It is held by designated custodians. These are legal structures, individuals or entities who manage funds without owning them. They are visible to regulators but protected from seizure or misuse. 80% of the funds are earmarked for humanitarian infrastructure. 19% is assigned to U.S. Treasury bonds to stabilize sovereign debt. 1% is allocated to logistics and operational security. This is not aid. It is system repair. Silent warfare in the financial arena. The intel does not call it war, but the mechanics are surgical. No tanks. No market crashes. Just economic theater. The tariffs create the illusion of victory while serving as cover for the release of planetary capital. It is not manipulation in the traditional sense. It is strategic misdirection. While the public celebrates small wins, a suppressed global wealth structure is being deployed behind the curtain. The reset without the name, this will never be called a reset. It will be labeled liquidity optimization, currency flow stabilization, or monetary rebalancing. These phrases will show up in white papers and legislative reports. But the effect is the same. The message makes one thing clear. The realignment has already started. The mechanism is active. The only unknown is whether the public will ever be told the truth. This is not a pivot. It is the slow reversal of theft. A quiet recovery of time, value, and sovereignty. The voice behind the intel, the tone is cold, factual, and stripped of emotion. No calls to action. No search for followers. Just an account from someone close to the source. Someone watching the levers move. Someone who understands systems thinking and signal noise. This is not a forecast. It is documentation. A silent alert. It has already started. The flood will not arrive with a siren. It begins with spreadsheets, with the release of locked reserves, and the reshaping of financial corridors. Twos. February 3, 2026. The individual who anonymously posted on 4chan the morning of Epstein's death, August 10, 2019, claiming he witnessed weird happenings at the prison before Epstein's death has been identified in the Epstein files. John F. Kennedy Jr. on Telegram. Roberto Grijalva, an officer at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, has been identified as the anonymous prison employee who posted on 4chan claiming Epstein left his cell Friday evening shackled in a medical wheelchair while at the same time an unauthorized trip van arrived at the prison, which he believes took Epstein away the night before news broke of his death. The day after Epstein's death, U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman of the SDNY opened a grand jury proceeding and subpoenaed 4chan, Apple, AT&T, and Citibank for records aiming to uncover Grijalva's identity following the anonymous 4chan post. Grijalva's name is not redacted on his bank records included in the SDNY subpoena response from Citibank for his 4chan post, and ties to the same prison officer Roberto Grijalva, whose statements were released as part of the prison's investigation into Epstein's death. This is huge. We now have validation the 4chan post from August 10, 2019 is a legitimate eyewitness account from an MCC prison officer that Epstein may have been switched out before news broke of his alleged suicide. ZB. Twos. February 3, 2026 update, Epstein Files, JFK the leader on Telegram. Epstein didn't kill himself. Mexico-based videos tie him to SEAL Team 6 founder, ex-U.S. ambassador, and high-level cover-ups involving murders, bribes, and embassy attacks. These 5 Proton Mail emails, July to August 2019, sent by Ken Turner to what appears to be an NYPD/FBI Child Exploitation Task Force contact, contain the following dramatic, high-stakes allegations. Jeffrey Epstein's death on August 10, 2019 was not suicide. Turner explicitly states we don't believe it was suicide based on evidence uncovered in Mexico involving Epstein and others, Document 1. Videos and photos exist showing Jeffrey Epstein and Richard Marcinko, founder of SEAL Team 6, together at sex parties, child trafficking events in Mexico, Documents 1, 2, 3. A major 2014 sex party in Juarez, Mexico was organized by Epstein and Marcinko at a U.S. consulate-controlled housing facility. Former U.S. Ambassador to Mexico Earl Anthony Wayne attended and was allegedly arrested by Mexican federal police for involvement with an underage girl. Document 3. Wayne was supposedly sentenced to life in prison in Mexico in 2017 for impregnating an 11-year-old girl, with 100% DNA match to her son. However, he avoided serving time through a secret agreement between the U.S. State Department and a Mexican judge involving a huge payoff, allowing an ex-U.S. Marine to serve the sentence in his place. Document 3. Wayne currently has an outstanding arrest warrant in Mexico for avoiding sentencing. Document 3. Turner's investigative team in Mexico has faced extreme violence to suppress the evidence. 4 armed attacks against them. Document 2. Turner's partner, alleged ex-South African law enforcement, shot and killed 2 and wounded 5 American agents. Document 2. Numerous attacks on white American agents in vans assigned to the U.S. Embassy. Document 2. Contact Jorge, alleged Mexican federal official assisting Turner, was attacked and lost his arm. Document 2. The President of Mexico is keenly aware of their case against Marcinko and other U.S. officials, and the evidence is seen as connected to Epstein's trafficking network. Document 2. U.S. Embassy security team recently stopped and searched Turner's partner's car in Mexico looking for the videos/photos of Marcinko and Epstein. They told her she could not leave the country, though the items were not in the car, implying someone powerful does not want the data disclosed. Document 1. Turner repeatedly emphasizes life-threatening danger, secure communications, phone sweeps for malware/keyloggers, and that their evidence would bring a whole new dynamic to the Epstein case, making figures like Prince Philip seem like small fry. Documents 2 and 3. HD to Colonel Tower on X for the trial judge docs. However, the Epstein docs were missed. ZC. Real news that never made the fake news. Wednesday, 6th of November. 2024 slaughter of 60,000 Native Canadian children cover-up by Kevin Annett. I first met the architect of the Great Canadian Cover-Up in June of 2010 in Winnipeg. He had just stuffed a large pastry into his mouth. "Excuse me, Mr. Sinclair," I said to him. "Can you tell me why you just shut off the microphone of these residential school survivors when they started talking about burying dead children at the Sandy Bay Catholic Residential School?" Murray Sinclair gaped at me like a deer caught in headlights as he quickly tried to gulp down the confection. Then he glared at the survivors in question, who stood with us. "I'm a judicial officer and there are some things I'm not allowed to raise here," he blustered. "Not allowed by who?" one of the Sandy Bay Cree cried. Murray scowled at the man and then turned and waddled back to the head table. It was the opening session of the misnamed Truth and Reconciliation Commission. TRC. Official Canada is shedding rivers of crocodile tears this week after one of their most loyal native puppets passed on to the infernal region where traitors end up. A seemingly endless torrent of praise for the chubby lawyer is pouring from pale politicians, newspaper columns, academics, and other bought-and-bossed aboriginals like himself. It's small wonder. For Murray Sinclair single-handedly saved white Canada's genocidal ass. As chair of the TRC for 7 years, Murray led the biggest obstruction of justice in the history of Canada in order to conceal its biggest crime, the deliberate slaughter of over 60,000 Indigenous children by church and state. Murder by decree, by Kevin Annett. When he cut us off with that stupid grin on his face, it felt like I was being raped and beaten all over again, said one of the Sandy Bay Cree women. And he's supposed to be one of us. Murray, Indigenous. Well, maybe on the outside. But he's been a consummate good Indian from early on, as a residential school informant and goon, then a lawyer, judge, and eventually a senator with strong cabinet connections. When it came time for the government and churches to officially whitewash the growing evidence of their mass murder of half of the children in the Christian gulags called Indian residential schools, Murray was just the man to do it. As the TRC chairman, Murray's job was to sell a big lie to the public, that genocide in Canada wasn't so bad, no one was to blame for it, and all is forgiven. In the spring of 2008, our movement against this big lie escalated its 10-year campaign by occupying the guilty Catholic, Anglican, and United churches in Vancouver and Toronto. We demanded the criminal prosecution of those churches for genocide. In response, the government quickly announced the formation of the TRC to investigate the residential school crimes. But the fact that the perpetrators of the crime were the ones setting up the TRC to investigate themselves didn't sit well. Especially when the churches that had killed generations of brown children got to choose the 3 TRC commissioners. Seriously, like the serial killer appointing his own jury, as I said to the press, who didn't quote me. Not surprisingly, the first federal judge asked to chair this absurdity, Harry Lafforme, quickly declined, citing how the TRC mandate was unlawfully restrictive. Why? Because it prevented the TRC commissioners from issuing subpoenas, conducting criminal investigations, or summoning witnesses. The commissioners were even barred from gathering evidence that named names, referred to dead children, or accused anyone of a crime. Obviously, the half-decent Mr. Lafforme didn't want to incriminate himself in such a blatant whitewash and obstruction of justice. So then the feds turned to their loyal hatchet man, Murray Sinclair. Hatchet is accurate. As the TRC's major domo, Sinclair slashed and burned any incriminating eyewitnesses and evidence from the residential school death camps while protecting the Catholic, Anglican, and United churches responsible for killing half of its little inmates. Murray kicked off this effort by giving the churches 6 months to sift through and censor their own records from the schools, even though the churches had been spared litigation for their crimes only by agreeing to disclose all their evidence. Then Murray got the Federal Privy Council to officially seal all government records related to the schools, like the evidence of the church and state sterilization programs against natives stored in the National Archives in Ottawa. Meanwhile, at the TRC's so-called public hearings, native survivors were allowed only a brief 10 minutes to tell their story, but only after they had submitted their statement to the TRC commissioners for vetting and editing. Church officials, contrarily, got all the time they wanted, uncensored, to spew justifications for their century-long torture and murder of Indigenous children. Any native survivors who challenged this charade were quickly silenced by Sinclair, banned from the hearings, and even physically assaulted by TRC security. The official subterfuge continued behind this heavy barrier of deceit and intimidation. It was all a big show, recalls Shauna Green, a Cowichan native woman who attended the TRC event in Victoria, BC in the summer of 2012. There were more white people there than native people, and lots of music, food, and corporate sponsorship signs. I counted only 4 or 5 actual survivors there and only one of them ever got to speak, and then only briefly. Shauna grew tearful and angry as she spoke. But the worst part was that asshole Murray Sinclair. He was just a stooge for the churches. When a Catholic bishop was at the microphone going on about all the good they'd done in the residential schools, a few survivors began shouting, "You were lying. Sit down. You killed our friends." At that point, Murray stood up and started yelling at the survivors to be quiet and show respect to the bishop. Show respect to your rapist, can you believe it? The survivors looked totally crushed. One of them even killed herself that night. It was all a big re-traumatizing event for the victims so they'd stay quiet. I guess that was the whole point of the TRC. None of the trained seals of the Canadian media ever reported such incidents and greatly aided Murray in his duplicity and criminality. For the press, the TRC was all love and light. A genuine effort to reveal and help heal a sad chapter in our history, to quote a typically false account from the Globe and Mail. Whether in Canada or abroad, the media reports of the TRC rarely if ever corresponded to its reality. And the big lie only grew worse. As the TRC stage show wound its way through over $80 million to say nothing and conceal much, Murray Sinclair let slip that the survivors' statements and other evidence held by the TRC would not be made public, as was originally guaranteed, but would remain in the hands of the government. Early in 2014, just before the TRC concluded its moribund existence, the Supreme Court ruled that any of this TRC material could be legally destroyed, even though it constituted confidential evidence from crime scenes. Canada's whitewash of mass murder was now lawful. If Canada operated according to the rule of law, a lot of people connected to the TRC would have gone to jail, starting with the rotund Mr. Sinclair. But all of that is fogged here in the Great White North, where a traitor to his people and to 60,000 slaughtered children, and the head of an enormous criminal conspiracy to aid and abet genocide, now dwells as a hallowed hero of the crime scene called Canada. How else does an entire guilty nation behave? In closing, I remember the outrage that the TRC hearings caused among the grassroots native people who I live and work with. Their anger, of course, quickly turned to despair and resignation that, once again, the child killers and their Aboriginal accomplices had won. All except for a Cree man named Frank Hermanskin, a buddy of mine in Vancouver. One evening in the Carnegie Centre, Frank got up and kicked his booted foot through the TV screen that was broadcasting a TRC hearing. Later that night, Frank said to me, "Among my people, anybody who hurt a child or protected somebody who did would get taken outside the village and you'd never see that person again. That's what we need to do to that Murray Sinclair asshole." The